Hey everybody, it's me, the Tiefling of Trouble, Silverblaze here, and I've got a special guest with me.
Hi, me as usual, Jordan from Cuddlefish Commentary.
Yep, and today we have the Nintendo Direct. Super exciting! We get to watch the Nintendo Direct. Is what I would say, but, guess what we broke? Everything!
So we had an amazing pregame. It was going to be a festival. I think some parts of it were even going to be a musical number, but we had to cancel all of it, unfortunately, and scrap it. But we do have some post-discussion to go over.
Yeah, because my computer sucks. But hey, you know what? We're here now. I wanted to at least talk about the things that we get to see in the Direct, and we'll put up some video stuff for your viewing pleasure. It'll be a good time. We're gonna have a good time. It'll be like the Direct is happening all around us.
Yeah, we won't be going over every single element of the Direct, because if we did, this thing can easily be 32 hours.
Yeah, exactly, because there was a lot of stuff.
This is a 50-minute Direct after a year-and-a-half hiatus.
Yeah, holy crap. Can we just, talk for a minute, just how incredible it is that it's been a year and a half since the last, big Nintendo Direct. It's the last thing we talked about was the last time that we actually talked, I'm pretty sure it was back in January when Byleth was coming out, and the last time that we did not a Smash, but a Nintendo Direct reactions, that was when...
Was that Terry?
Yeah, that was Terry.
Because I was in uni.
Yeah, or you were just getting out of uni, and
yeah.
I was still in the closet about being trans.
Goodness, what a time
Jesus
ago.
Christ, yeah.
It was a reality ago.
It was. It's just crazy, right? But, it's a year and a half later, stuff has happened that we're not going to bring up on stream.
I can't wait for the next Direct in a year and a half from now.
Oh, God. But, yeah, this is exciting, but let's jump right into it, and... the first thing we got to see right off the bat...
was not Rex.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I was seeing this, I thought that this was going to be some new material for Xenoblade 2, which... I love Xenoblade 2. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But I know that Jordan and I differ in this opinion, but I love Xenoblade 2 so much.
It felt almost silly how much I was thinking that it'd be a Xenoblade 2 thing, considering the Torna expansion already existed, and this game came out years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but no. It was Pyra and Mythra in Smash. Oh my god!
It reminded me a lot of when people were expecting Chrom in Smash, and then Lucina and Robin came out instead.
Oh man,
and then Chrom is a guest in the final Smash, and it's very much like that.
And they came out in the next game, so, hey, maybe Rex will get his turn, who knows, but holy crap, Pyra and Mythra.
The idea of, inviting Rex in a future Smash game without Mythra and Pyra.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, he could always use Rock. Rock's an option.
Oh, goodness. I don't think a lot of people talk about him unless, they're, hardcore players, though.
Oh, Rock needs more love. Rock is best burb.
So let's go talk about the actual characters what's been revealed so far.
Yeah, just Pyra and Mythra, and oh my god, they look really fun to play.
Pyra appears to be an anime sword fighter like many of the others, except without as many projectiles, and is going to emphasize adding fire to smash attacks.
Which is interesting. I kind of like how that is. I'm guessing that her smash attacks are all going to... or not her smash attacks, her special attacks... are going to be based on her specials in Xenoblade 2.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah, because we heard some of those, Blazing End, Prominence Revolt, etc., etc. And the same kind of goes with Mythra.
But the interesting thing is they actually have different animations and movements. If you look at what Pyra does, hers look like pretty generic swordsman stuff, except with an extra amount of power and range and flair. Yeah. And it makes me wonder if there's a resource that she has to gather up as they need to switch between each other, or if it exhausts over time to encourage having to switch between them. Because Mythra's moveset is like Lucina's with lasers.
I guess so, but at the same time, if we're going to be loyal to the original Xenoblade...
yeah, they should be twinning.
Yeah, it never really seems like much of a thing in the other Xenoblade games, and I don't think it's going to be the case, but it does seem really interesting regardless, just getting to see Pyra and Mythra.
Yeah. Mythra looks really fun compared to Pyra, but the interesting thing is how they swap between each other, like Pokemon Trainer.
Oh yeah, it definitely seems like you can, It seems like you can get some good combos between the two, and it's like, well, the two of us will definitely differ, because I honestly prefer Pyra to Mithra, and Jordan prefers Mithra to Pyra.
We have to deal with both.
We have to deal with both. We're excited for both. Both of them get their own final smashes, which is really cool.
Yeah, this character is our get-along shirt.
Exactly. Just like me and Jordan, just together in a shirt.
Yeah, in the same way these characters have to share one unfortunate body and just have to take turns, that's going to be us playing this character. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I definitely can't wait to play this character. It's going to be really fun.
Even though I've had gripes with pretty much every single one, I've also enjoyed a lot of every single DLC character in Smash. I've played every single one of them so much.
And it gets me excited to see who these last two characters are. And it's just like, so we've gotten which one? We got an ARMS rep, we've gotten a Minecraft rep, we have another Final Fantasy rep with Sephiroth, and now we have a Xenoblade 2 rep. It's exciting. It's really exciting. The one after that is going
to be Robotnik, and the final one coming out this November is going to be Master Hand.
We'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see if Jordan's correct on this. Next up on the docket, we're gonna skip a little bit ahead and move on to the new Mario Golf. Like, holy crap, we get to see a new Mario Golf game, and especially after Mario Tennis Aces was a pretty big deal. Like, yeah. I remember a lot of people were really talking about it when it came out.
The game overall was kind of shallow, but one thing they did to make the game a lot more exciting is online play and expanding play, where they would introduce new characters and features over time. So the base game was fine, but they introduced a lot more stuff over time. But this game looks like it is packed to the gills from the start, and takes a lot of the favorite parts from games like Golf Story and the previous Mario sports games.
Yeah, because it's got like an RPG mode. That's really cool. I think it just looks really fun.
You can also use your Mii, and it looks like... the most important part is the idea of speed golf.
Oh, the speed golf. That seems really interesting, because now it's not just getting the ball into the hole in the least amount of strokes possible. Now you have to get it in the least amount of strokes possible and as fast as you can.
That's right. Your character is like chasing the ball over time, but I think this creates new interesting possibilities too, because what if power-ups and coins litter the field, you can go off the path to nab them from other people. There's a new way to interact with people instead of having to wait for each other to take your turns in golf.
And I definitely think this is really interesting. It definitely kind of reminds me of how Mario Tennis Aces kind of remade the tennis system to make it a lot more fluid.
Yeah. Plus adding some depth to it, because in Aces they ended up adding like a racket HP system as well as super moves and a bullet time meter. And this time they're adding new mechanics again to make sure it's deeper and more dynamic.
Yeah, honestly, it seems really exciting, and even though I'm probably not going to get this game because I don't care for Mario Golf that much, it is a really fun-looking game.
Yeah. So definitely this is going to be one of the most exciting Mario sports games in a long time. Next up is the, well, title still pending, but Triangle Strategy, which I don't love that name.
I mean, it's a working title. Hopefully it'll be changed. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this is Square Enix's new RPG, because like they've been doing this quite a bit with like Octopath Traveler, and now they have this.
And Bravely Default. They've been buddy-buddy for a lot of exclusives.
Yeah, and you know, it's really nice that that Square and Nintendo are starting to get along, because you know, the last time that they really got along was back in the 80s, and then they had that falling out.
Yeah. So Triangle Strategy actually has a greater meta context that's worth mentioning. So Octopath Traveler feels like a softer, lower story retelling of the events of Final Fantasy VI, while Bravely Default is a fourth wall breaking remix of Four Heroes of Light and Final Fantasy III. So one thing that people have been begging Square Enix for literally decades now is the return of Final Fantasy Tactics. And this game looks like a successor to Final Fantasy Tactics by using its movement system as well as its elevation.
It also feels like they're mixing in a little bit of Fire Emblem Three Houses, not gonna lie.
Yes, the interface for how enemies interact with you based off of your movements looks very clearly like like Fire Emblem, to the point that I almost thought this was going to be a new Intelligent Systems game instead of a Square Enix game.
I mean, I was also thinking the whole thing of like 3 countries at war, that whole thing.
Yeah, which instead of like making you choose your nation, you are kind of sent to one in the first place, and you have to like get favor from different factions instead. I don't think that's the path I would have liked to make for building this game, but we'll see how it rolls out.
Yeah, it definitely seems interesting. Nothing I would really play, because I've never really been into Final Fantasy Tactics.
Right. I'm a big ol' RPG fan, so that's why I'm a big ol' RPG snob. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a lot of fun. That's really cool. And then we also have, unfortunately, Eiji Aonuma didn't have much to reveal in terms of The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, the Breath of the Wild sequel. And unfortunately, the reveal was that there would be no reveal.
Yeah, unfortunately, seems like they didn't have anything this time, but he did say that we are getting something later this year, so that's something to look forward to. But in the meantime, we ended up getting a new port of a game, and we got Skyward Sword, which, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited for this. I can understand that a lot of people have problems with Skyward Sword, but honestly, it looks fun.
Yeah.
And the fact that they changed up the motion controls to... Well, they changed up the motion controls, and two, they gave you an option to play with buttons. That seems really interesting, and I do like the button controls of using the right stick to swing the sword. Yeah, honestly, I'm just excited about it. What about you, Jordan?
So, I played Skyward Sword, which means I know that I don't like it. However, I will say that by introducing better motion controls with the Joy-Cons, or removing the motion controls entirely, this can be a much, much cleaner game overall. I think this will turn it from like a D to a C+, or even a B to me, because it fixes so many of the control problems. There's still a lot of other issues, but I will say that if you like the game's visuals or lore, this game is a masterpiece worth experiencing, whether through an LP or yourself. The thing that really intrigues me, though, is how they have the new control system with the right stick, because you're Z-targeting, you don't need the camera, right?
Yeah.
This makes me really interested of what if they were to create a new sword fighting engine using this instead.
Oh, for like a new Zelda game?
Yeah, the idea of a sword fighting game on the feeling of Punch-Out.
That would be interesting,
Because
not gonna lie.
Zelda sword fighting has never really been that interesting or deep, even when they tried to. But with this new stick format, and using the face buttons and the control stick, I think you can get a new, dedicated sword engine this way.
Yeah, this definitely seems really interesting. We'll definitely have to see what new things Skyward Sword HD brings to the table, because hopefully it brings in some more stuff, because Wind Waker HD was able to bring in some more things, and that game was really fun to play. Yeah. Then Twilight Princess kind of dropped the ball a little bit,
They didn't even make it HD.
Yeah, they didn't even make it HD. That's...
The game's not the prettiest. Like, when you look at Ocarina of Time, they did a fantastic job of sprucing up the games visually, and also, like, making quality of life features.
Oh, it'd be cool to see Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on Switch. That'd be really cool.
Majora's Mask used its platform to make the quest log more concise, and also made the controls and glitches a lot less messy, and also made it visually better. Wind Waker was an absolute masterpiece. The game was already gorgeous to start with, but they really made sure the entire thing was colorful as hell, and made the game actually run faster with the new sail as well.
Yeah, I love Wind Waker. Wind Waker is definitely one of my favorite Zelda games.
I don't think it's the best, but it is my favorite.
Yeah, definitely.
Twilight Princess, they really dropped the ball. They did add a new dungeon, though, inside its remake. With you got the Amiibo DLC, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the game is 2% prettier. It's sharper, but you can also make some part of it clearly more aged.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it could have been better. And that's a damn shame, because I really like Twilight Princess. It was my first Zelda game.
And it's a lot of people's favorite until Breath of the Wild.
It was definitely one of my favorites. So, it's like Breath of the Wild, then I played Wind Waker, and then Wind Waker became my favorite, and then Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Or, wait, No, Twilight Princess, and then I played Wind Waker, and then Breath of the Wild, and it's like... All three of those games are great. They're all really great.
Yeah, so I hope they add some content to Skyward Sword here, because the original game was kind of messy and repetitive, so I hope they have some new ways to speed up the game, or if they add some new twists entirely, that'd be really appreciated. Because this will be some people's first time playing Skyward Sword, and I don't want them to think of Skyward Sword the way the rest of the world does. Because this game deserves more credit. It's got some of the best visuals and story and characters of all time, held back by terrible design.
I mean, I do know some people who actually do like this game.
I like this game.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Although, there's one thing that we will be able to get. Mm-hmm. Bomb bowling.
Let's sure back. Now gratitude crystals are back, but in HD. So that's the thing.
Oh, man. I know that I take pot shots at Ego Raptor, Aaron Hansen, but I I mean, he's a fine guy.
Yeah, and he was very right. Tragically.
Agree to disagree. Anyways, next up, we've got a couple of highlights before we move on to the big thing that we wanted to talk about with this.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of third-party visitors make some big games coming in.
Yep, and I think we should start off with a game that both me and Jordan are really excited for, which is Monster Hunter Rise. Like, my god, I am so excited for this game. It looks so cool. It looks so crisp and clean.
Yes.
I really like this a lot.
Visually, I don't know what they did, but it looks so much prettier and like more HD than the original trailer. The original trailer looked awesome, but had graphics that were nowhere close to World. This looks like it's really inching up there this time, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to this game, and I really like the gameplay mode that they have that's kind of a tower defense siege mode.
Yes, that was the new thing that they revealed, but not too much detail of. And most of the trailer seemed like repeated footage, but this part right here, this looks like something polished and fresh, as well as new Apex monsters.
Oh yeah, that looks exciting. It definitely looks really cool.
So deviant monsters have been a thing in Monster Hunter games before, where they have different colors, sizes, and movesets. But Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate ended up having a virus that ended up powering them up and giving them an infection vector when they attack you. And this looks like it'll be the response to Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate of creating Apex monsters where they're super powered as well and possibly bigger, which is fun to me.
Yeah, this is really exciting. I honestly, I just look at this game and I just keep getting more and more excited. And it's just like, yes, I love this.
I love all the Monster Hunter games. I've been playing since it was introduced to the Wii, but this is honestly the most excited I've been for a new one.
Yeah, definitely. And then next up we had Neon White, which, oh my god, Neon White looks really cool. And apparently you're a demon assassin hunting down demons in heaven, and you use cards to fight with. That's really interesting, to be honest.
It's almost like a thematic cross between like Persona and Overwatch almost.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way.
It's got like some really fast platforming and first-person action.
Oh yeah, it looks really good. I really just enjoy how this looks. It looks really cool, and I believe the studio Annapurna, was it?
Yes.
They made another game in this, right? Or in this direct.
Was it the Outer Wilds?
Yeah, I think it was Outer Wilds, which looked really interesting because it's like, hey, you only have 22 minutes before the sun frickin' blows up and you have to time rewind.
Yeah, so it's like a weird Groundhog Day in space.
It's like Majora's Mask mixed with, I don't know, with No Man's Sky?
I guess so. It's very much emphasizing the modern trend of rustic space survival.
Yeah, and that definitely seems interesting. Anyways, and then next up we have Knockout City, which, this game looks really fun. It's basically a dodgeball game.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those other games in the modern era, very much. You can tell it has the same energy as things like Fortnite and Apex Legends and Paladins, where it's all about like having big, boisterous personalities and trying to do some kind of competitive group PvP game.
Personally, for me, I was getting some Major Ninjala vibes.
Yes, I think that was very much that type of feeling as well. It felt like a more boisterous Ninjala.
It definitely looked really cool, and I definitely want to try this game out when it comes out, because it just looks really fun. And then the last game that I wanted to talk about in this, in my personal highlights, is one game that was kind of briefly mentioned, but it looks cool as heck, Saga Frontier. Now, I've never heard of the Saga games before, but this game looks really good, and I love the sci-fi aesthetic, and it definitely seems like it's got that PS1 era graphics, which seems to be preserved on the Switch, and I really like that appeal. I really like how that looks, because it's kind of like
It reminds me of, like, Suikoden or Chrono Cross.
Yeah, you want to know what it kind of reminds me of a bit? It kind of reminds me of the anime Cowboy Bebop.
In some ways, yeah. I think it does this idea of using this, future fantasy, but with actual fantasy infused into it.
Yeah, it looks really fun, and I'm really excited to see what this game has.
I'm not too familiar with a lot of the game's mechanics, so I can't really make a true statement, because I think the battle mechanics are where many JRPGs rise and fall. So we'll have to see how that goes.
All right, and so, Jordan, did you have any games you wanted to mention?
Kinda. Yeah, I had this like larger observation throughout the Direct of this thing was about a 50-minute Direct, right?
Yeah.
But there's this weird thing that like I don't know if it needed to be 50 minutes.
Yeah, it probably didn't need to be 50 minutes.
Yeah, there was this strange lull in the middle of it where you can see that anywhere from Stubbs the Zombie to Capcom to DC Superhero Girls and Plants vs. Zombies, they spent about 8 to 10 minutes on just those 4 things alone. And
yeah.
When this thing has like dozens of games, to like turn your entire middle slot into these games that I don't know if that would be the right audience for people trying to watch a Direct at the moment. If that would be the best decision to write this thing, this Direct could have been half an hour.
And there's a lot of really odd choices that they had in this. Like, for example, they have Famicom Detective Club, which seems to be some sort of... it seems to be a remake of a game from, well, the Famicom, which is very interesting.
But if you're familiar with the Phoenix Wright games, then you'll be right at home there.
Yeah. They had stuff like Miitopia getting a port. They had an update for Animal Crossing.
This Miitopia port actually seems like an enhanced thing as well, because you get more visual customization. But for anybody who's watched or played a lot of Miitopia, there's some definite gripes in the gameplay, so I think most people were hoping for a sequel rather than a port, considering the middle game gripes for those who have played it.
One thing that I was surprised got very little airplay was the Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's close to Breath of the Wild, but it's the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pass.
Yeah.
Like, we only got to see a small snippet of this.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
It was actually really frustrating because most of the trailer was, like bland scenes of nothing really happening outside of showing characters' faces that have already been shown off in the actual game.
And legit, I had to pause in order to actually see this because it was on way too quickly for the list of what they had. Yeah. It's like
it was just a text list with no details filled out.
It felt like a weird drop in the pan, and it's so weird to think about.
And I feel like this is one of the ways that they could have used their pacing more, Like, if they just said, hey, Age of Calamity DLC expansion pass is coming, and they could have just said that and then moved on, instead of doing this weird pacing that felt like we were simultaneously wasting our time and also needing to pause it, which is a weird mix.
It is definitely a very weird mix.
There's also some time on Bravely Default 2, which didn't reveal anything, and felt like they just needed to remind people what existed.
It's like, hey guys, we're here. It felt like a lot of those, like No More Heroes 3 felt like that. One that I found interesting was Samurai Warriors 5, because that seemed really fun and interesting.
Yeah.
They mentioned that Hades is getting a physical release, which, I mean, I like Hades. Hades is a good time.
I've literally beaten it over, I've beat Hades himself over 130 times. I'm a big fan of the game.
I've only been able to beat him once. The game's hard. The game's really hard.
Keep in mind, when I say 130, I mean an escalating difficulty each time as well.
Oh, God.
130 difficulties.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, it's like, that's exciting. One game that I did find really interesting, if I can remember what it was that... Right, it was the one that was made by the Danganronpa people, World's End Club.
I love how this looks.
Yeah, and I really like how it plays out, because...
Plot premise.
Yeah, because you think that it's gonna be, it's another Danganronpa or Zero Escape game, and then it stops being that. Like, they just are like, hey, game is canceled, you can go home now, and it's basically about these 12 people who are going to be in a death game, and then getting home.
And they pretty much just, unionize and then fight monsters together.
Like, what? This is so weird, and I'm kind of into it.
I'm very okay with that premise. It's also, so vibrant inside its aesthetics and character design, you can tell that this definitely is a successor to the premise of Danganronpa, while trying to also subvert it. And this is a thing that's definitely be on my radar. I don't know if I'm going to play it. I might watch an LP instead, but it's definitely on my radar.
Definitely. Anyways, I think we've wasted enough time as is. Let's talk about the big one that happened at the very end. The one that got me super hyped. We got Splatoon 3 announced for next year, and I am excited.
So, not a lot was shown off, but what was shown off and what we can brainstorm, I can easily talk about for 3 hours straight.
Yeah, okay, for one thing, we see an upside-down version of the Eiffel Tower in some sort of desert wasteland.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this probably takes place outside of Inkopolis, and that whole idea seems interesting to me, because I mean, sure, they showed off some sort of city, but it's definitely not Inkopolis.
Well, I think what's nice about this is Splatoon has always been, and like this is definitive, you cannot argue this, has always been a post-apocalyptic story.
Yeah, definitely.
And now it feels like they're finally doubling down with part of that setting and exploring part of the outskirts.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're also seeming like when it goes to the map spawns, in the same way that you have a Fortnite battle bus, it seems like now you can start elevated and launch yourself into the field.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Like, this game seems so exciting and so much fun, and I love Splatoon so much, and it seems like there's new hairstyles, there's new weapons, we get to see a bow. I'm excited for that. I'm hoping that the Splat Dualies are in there, because that's my favorite weapon from Splatoon 2.
I'm really excited to see a crossbow. I think that'd be dope.
But I'm excited to try out some new weapons, because these do look really fun.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, honestly, we can't talk about this in just this small video alone.
I can easily talk about this for 4 hours.
Yeah, so we are going to announce that within the next week, Jordan and I, as well as whoever else we'll be able to find who loves Splatoon just as much as we do, we're going to come at you with another video within the next week talking about our thoughts on this Splatoon 3 breakdown that we have of this little trailer that we get, as well as some of our thoughts and what we want to see in this game.
Oh my god, the Pokemon follow you.
Oh, right. We get a little salmonid buddy. I love that. That's really cool.
If I can get myself a little cuttlefish or a little jellyfish, I'd be so happy.
Oh,
Or a
yeah,
clam.
that'd be cool.
I don't know. I'm just excited. I love marine life. I'm obsessed with it. My name is Cuddlefish. Like, I love marine wildlife.
But yeah, so look forward to that within the next week. Not sure when we'll be able to get that out, but it'll be fun. It'll be a good time, right, Jordan?
Oh, I hope so. I love brainstorming. I'll have a good time.
I love Splatoon. Anyways, so overall, what are your thoughts on this Direct, Jordan?
So, objectively, I think this is a B+. It's got so many big games, big titles, and a lot of things that appeal to a lot of people. For me personally, a C, because I hated the pacing and nothing appeals to me specifically.
Admittedly, it was very poorly paced. There was some very awkward transitions, but
And filler.
But I'm gonna say that when the highlights hit, they hit hard. And I was just so excited for some of these things, just like, Pyra and Mithra and Smash, Monster Hunter Rise, Splatoon 3, mother flippin' Splatoon 3.
Keep in mind,
I am so hyped for this.
I like all these things, but none of them speak to me in the same way as they do to you.
Yeah,
So that's why,
fair.
again, I think objectively this is a solid B Direct. For me personally, I feel like I could have just, seen the highlights on Twitter in the morning.
Yeah, that's fair. But honestly, for me personally, I thought I had a good time. I'm with those people that would give it, a B+ rating.
Yeah.
I
Like I said, objectively, I think it's a B.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you gotta go through a lot of the faff, but let's be honest here, that's what Nintendo Directs are, and that's kind of what we love about them, is we go for the highlights, and, sure, there's some faff, but we get to enjoy when we see these big games.
I do think that the most important thing is that Directs are back and hopefully here to stay, and it does remind me of how much I did miss these, even if I did not love this one.
Yeah, I really miss doing these Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one in a year and a half at the end of 2023.
Let's hope that it's sooner than that.
Or sorry, 2022.
Anyways, so, yeah, that is our big discussion about the Nintendo Direct. So yeah, I guess we're gonna wrap things up. Jordan, it was great having you on here again. It's been way too long. We gotta do this more often, but we'll probably have to find more things to talk about.
Yep, but I think I should sign out because sleep is for the weak, but I'm very weak and very tired. So I'm going to say, hi, my name's Jordan. Cuddlefish commentary on YouTube. I'll upload there someday. Until then, you can find me as Cuddlefish Tweet on the Twitters.
Yep. And of course, you know where to find me, Sylver Blaze. You can find me on Sylver Blaze on Twitter. And popping into certain Discord servers and having a good time. But otherwise, you can just find me on YouTube. But yeah, until then, stay classy, gamers.